to this week's episode of Life in Private Staffing. Hope you're well and had a good week. As you know, I'm Philippa Smith, the MD and owner of Silver Swan Recruitment. And every couple of weeks when we release our episodes, we have on different guests that have some kind of career in the private sector. And we try and get people on from all walks of life who have had all sorts of journeys and offer different services or do different things, and just to sort of give us all different perspectives and angles into the industry, really. And this week is no different. I have Cate with me today, and Cate entered into the private sector after doing a totally unrelated degree, which we all do, which is brilliant, and worked her way through, gaining experience, working with ultra high net worths to the point where she started her own company. And I think a lot of people at the moment, especially coming out of the pandemic, I think a lot of people like the idea of running their own company. So I think it's quite good getting people on who are within the private sector, have their own company, because I think people are interested as to what is it you do, what service do you offer, can I do something similar, what are the highs, what are the lows. So I think talking about people's journeys as to how they got to where they got is really interesting for a lot of people. So thanks for coming on the show, Cate. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Good. We were just saying, everybody, that Cate lives in Clapham normally, and she's now in the middle of nowhere in Scotland, riding out the pandemic and loving it, but desperate to come back. So that's where you are at the moment, isn't it?
It is indeed, yeah, in the middle of the Highlands.
Must have been quite nice. Like, we're stuck here, we're not doing anything here. You may as well be up there with a bit of space.
Absolutely, it's so nice and remote, so much space, and the beach, of course, which is wonderful.
Yeah. Has it been wet?
It has. Do you know what? It's rained a lot, and it's there's like gale force winds constantly. So everyone keeps saying to me, "Oh, it must be so wonderful! It's so wonderful." I had to cycle and find a place that sold silicone earbuds, so I could sleep at night, because the rain is so loud and the wind is so loud. It's like drumming and whistling constantly. So it's now actually just started turning to go back to like good weather. But yeah, the first few weeks we were here, I mean, I didn't sleep at all.
I bet. When did you go up? Because last summer was lush. Were you in Clapham still then?
I was in Clapham still, yeah. We only came up probably 3-4 weeks ago. Yeah, we came up 3-4 weeks ago, yeah. So we've just seen the last of the winter here.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's turning here in the UK now. This is a bit of a mistimed podcast, because we're recording this in March. I'm going to have a baby in April, so this is going to go out in May for everybody that's confused about why I'm talking about winter weather. But yeah, spring's turning here as well. It's starting. It makes such a difference having.
Yeah, it really does.
So, fab. Well, enjoy your last few weeks there and get yourself back to London when the pub's open. It's my advice.
Wait.
So we've got lots to cover today, because I love finding out how entrepreneurs get to where they've got, especially in the private sector. Because there's a million things we could do, but it's never actually that easy, and selling a service to an ultra high net worth is very difficult. We can't pick up the yellow pages and just call receptionists and try and get in. We can't get to these individuals to sell our services. So we can talk a little bit later about how you and how I do that and how we promote ourselves in the industry. But take us right back to where it all began then. So you went to tell us about your degree.
So I went to university and I studied law and international relations. I went to Portsmouth University and loved it. Loved the degree, more so the politics side than the law side. And then when I finished my degree, I had every intention of going back and getting my master's, but wanted to take a bit of a break. So I passed my degree, and I was offered a role. I actually was offered this temporary role the morning of my last exam at university. So I accepted the role, went and sat my last exam, and started with them the next day. It was reading contracts and uploading contracts into this database for a travel company that had bought out another company that had gone into liquidation. So I did that for a few weeks, and then they said, we have no legal department whatsoever. We need more support on this. Can you work further? So I ended up actually working for those first, I think I was with them for 6 weeks in total. I literally worked 6 a.m. in the morning till midnight every day, uploading all their contracts, like I did everything to do with the buyout, and in terms of the legal paperwork. I had to go to the civil aviation and make sure these flights and holidays were protected, or these people who were on holiday could be brought back, and all that. But I realized pretty fast that I hated what I was doing, and that I did not want to actually go into contract law. It was so repetitive, and yeah, it was just every day I was thinking, what am I doing? I can't believe I'm going to go do my master's in this. So I decided to go traveling. And I went off to the Caribbean for 6 months. I island hopped through the Caribbean, and then I flew to South Africa and got on an overlanding truck for 6 months and worked my way up to Uganda. And while I was doing this travel, I thought, what happens if I don't go back and get my master's? Or what happens if I don't go back to that job? What happens if I just see what else is out there and try something else? So I got back, and I applied for all these roles, and most of the applications I was just doing to get interview experience, because I hadn't interviewed for forever at this stage. So I got interviewed for this PA role at a sports agency, and I thought, I'm never going to get this. I mean, I can't stand sports to start, and I have no experience of sports. And it was in 2012, so it was just before the London Olympics started. I thought, they're going to want someone who's so experienced, who knows exactly what they're doing, and they're never going to take me on. So I went for this interview, and the next day I got this phone call asking me if I could start, in 2 days' time. And I was like, did you mean to know me? Am I the right person? So yeah, I started this role with the sports agency, and I was there for just over 3 years.
And that sort of got you into the sort of line work of PA. So just going back a little bit then. So firstly, it's so important, I think, to just get straight into work after his degree, because it's only really then do you know. You don't really know when you do your A-levels and you pick your degree. We haven't got a clue at the age of 18. We're pissed half the time. We haven't got a clue whether what we want to be doing. I think I've said before, I just picked my easiest A-level to go to uni with. It happened to be a business degree, but that wasn't because I planned to do anything with business. But yeah, so it's not as if I think you should do that and look back and be like, what a waste of a degree. It's not a waste of a degree because you got your degree. It's a great foundation. I know a few people that did law and sacked it off quite quick, but it's really good to have there. But I think what is good to do, if you know you hate it immediately, don't waste your next 10 years doing it.
No.
Pack your bags and go backpacking. Also, that company you worked for, big buyout process, so they get in a graduate to do all of their legal work. That's mental.
At that stage, I don't think they even realised the scope of the paperwork. It was their first time buying. I mean, they're a new company themselves, and this job just grew and grew and grew. It was just massive, and it was, and I loved it. Loved the admin side of it. That's something I really did enjoy. I really enjoyed the admin, creating files and systems. They did bring in someone who ran their legal side afterwards, but it was just starting that foundation for them. So I loved the admin. I hated the contracts. It was, I would sit there day after day just thinking, oh my word. And I think sometimes with contracts become so repetitive, people just assume that, oh, they're all going to be the same. They're going to be the same. So it's so easy to make a mistake, because that one contract can be exactly the same as 15, but it has just a few words out or a few differences. And you're like, oh, I need to go back and check everything because I didn't think those contracts were different. So yeah, it was just horrendous. Yeah. I hated the contract
I'm
side.
terrible for it.
That is the only part I still use.
Yeah, that's hats off to you. I own my own company, and honestly, hand on heart, I sign contracts without reading all the time. Have I read the contract in my office? No. Have I read my staff employment contracts that would drill up and say, yes, I've technically read them, but a normal person doesn't even understand half of the terminology and the way it's written. I'm terrible for reading contracts before I sign them, honestly.
So that's probably the only part of my, well, it's probably the main part of my law degree I still use, is that I write our own contracts for the company, and I proofread all my clients' contracts. Anything they get sent, I proofread and send back edits. And yeah, I read contracts for friends. You know, that's my biggest request. You know, I'm going to sign this landlord agreement. Can you just read this for me? And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. So I do read a lot of contracts still, but thankfully I don't work in it day in, day out.
Yeah, fair. I might come to your company and use your service to read my contract before I get myself in serious hot water, signing my life away. But that's cool. So you've obviously got a solid background in sort of legal field. You have an awesome time backpacking. You decided to sack your original plan off completely. You came back and you randomly got this PA job.
Exactly.
Never done any PA work and never into sports, but cool. And that probably was your pivot point. Probably.
Absolutely. I mean, I think because I can be quite OCD in a lot of my personal life as well. You know, I love things being extremely organized, like especially towels. I get very upset when people mess my towels up. So for me, that organization just spoke to me on a different level. I loved it. I thrived on that, you know. And when I went into the sports agency, it was a group of men and none of them had any admin ideas. So, you know, I had this whole area that I could go and create all these digitized files and filing systems and put in protocols and procedures, and I loved it. And I think they probably hated me at the start, but when they could find documents much easier, they were very happy.
Fair. So you did that for 3 years?
I did. So I wasn't going to do it for 3 years. I was planning on trying to go back and do a master's in something else. So at that stage, I wanted to go back and do a master's in global health, looking at enteric diseases in conflict zones. And just, I mean, I loved what I was doing. I couldn't leave. So I never went back and got my master's. So I stayed with them for just over 3 years. And then I was headhunted to a corporate company in London who wanted me to run their EA department. So they wanted someone to sit on top of all the EAs and manage the company's EAs for the senior management team and the directors and the board and all that. So that was quite exciting. And I took that role. I was, you know, all ready to go and do that. And when news went down to our clients that I was leaving, one of our main athletes or one of our main well-known sportsmen said, please don't leave, like come work for us and run our family business, and you could be head of events. And that really, really appealed to me because I was doing a lot of the event side of stuff and I really enjoyed that. And the family, I'd worked with them for 3 years within the agency and thoroughly loved working with them. So I was delighted to be given that opportunity. So I went into the private family sector at that stage then.
Yes. How long ago are we talking now? When was that?
So I left in 2000, probably the end of 2015. I went to join them, and I was with them until recently, actually, probably, what are we on now, 2021? So I think 2019 is when we kind of, maybe even 2020 is when we finished, May 2020. So I was with them for I worked with them privately for years. And actually what was really lovely is that I rented desk space from the sports agency. So I was, because still at one of their agents. So it worked really well that I was still involved with the sports agency, even though I was just working directly for one client. And I brought in, we had this wonderful person, Kerry, who came and interviewed for my role and took over my role, who I actually went into the private sector with afterwards. So Kerry took over my role, so we got to work together day in, day out. So I rented this desk space from the sports agency and worked directly with my client through them. So what I was doing mainly at this stage was now just private family support, so looking after the private family, all the travel. My client used to travel like 8 months of the year minimum at that stage. It was crazy. And then he had some property, a lot of property, so we managed that, and they were building property abroad, so I did some of the work on that as well and oversaw some of that with the architect. And yeah, it was amazing actually, that role. And then also he had a charity, and so head events for the charity, running those gala dinners and golf days, and yeah, loved it.
Busy?
Very busy, yeah, absolutely, very busy, but so rewarding, and such a wonderful family. Actually, you never ever felt, like it was too much. I just loved it.
you know what, I've said this about 1,000 times in this podcast, people must be sick to death of it, but like, people that move into the private sector, that first family you work for will determine your career in this industry, because if that is the right fit, and you know, and you have the experience that you had, you will want to work with ultra high net worths and work in the private sector for the rest of your career. Equally, I know people that have had their first job, it wasn't the right fit for whatever reason, and they hated every minute, and then they couldn't get out quick enough.
No.
So it really is a make or break moment, that very first job within the private sector. So it's lovely that it was so good. But you had the advantage because you knew the guy.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I you know, I was with him when he had a young child, when I first started with him and his wife had a young child, and you know, I saw them through pregnancy and having their second child. You know, they're just the most wonderful family, and they completely incorporated me. I mean, his mum was, you know, she used to say that she had 4 sons, and she said once to me, you know, I've only ever had 4 numbers above my phone at the house, and now I have your number too. And you know, it was very much, they completely incorporated you into their family. They were just the most wonderful people, and they still are. I mean, I still think I have so much respect for all of them. Yeah,
that's so lovely. And so you were there for 3 years. So why and how did that situation change?
So I decided to so during this time, the sports agency it wasn't doing the greatest, and so I'd been speaking with Kerry and saying, do you think it's time that we should go out on our own now and actually just start our own company? And my private client he'd stopped playing his professional sport, and so his time was becoming quieter, and he was becoming he wasn't needing full-time support. So on the side, I'd said to him, is it time that maybe we reduce me from full-time to part-time, because you don't need that full-time support at the moment? So he was fine with that. I'd had a couple of other people come through, you know, word of contact saying, and word of mouth saying, we'd love to join, have you look after us too. And so I then took on, well, I was then looking at taking on a second client, so splitting my time evenly. And I thought, well, maybe I should do this through a company. So I said to Kerry, do you think we should start our own company? So Kerry and I actually went to this networking event in London, and the networking event wasn't really interesting. It wasn't really suited to us, I should say. It wasn't really aimed at us. So at the end of the evening, we were like, should we go get a bottle of wine? So we had this bottle of wine at this little random bar opposite this networking event, and we were sitting talking. We were saying, at the moment, you know, our because of the clientele we worked with, we weren't working a standard 9 to 5. We were working weekends and evenings, and not really mornings, but that's obviously when we were in the office, so we felt like we were working all the time. So I was helping support Kerry where I could. Kerry supported me where she could whenever one of us was away. And then we had this conversation about, should we start a company, because wouldn't that be really, really exciting? And the sports agency wasn't doing very well at that stage, so we decided to start the company and see what would happen. And the sports company actually went under, the agency went under, and so we were like, right, let's just go for it, let's give it our everything. And everyone told us, you know, your first 6 months you have to save enough money, you're not going to make any money, it's going to be so scary, you know, companies fail in their first year. And this is what we went into this with, like, oh my, we haven't prepped for this at all. We haven't saved, we haven't thought this through, but we've started this company and we're going to have to make it work. And actually our first year was just unbelievable. So Kevin, my client, my private client at that stage, when I told him about us joining the company, I asked if I could move him into the company too, which was he was happy with. At first, actually, I thought I was going to have to leave to start the company. And I remember sitting down and being like, I actually burst into tears trying to tell him. And then he was like, don't even worry about it, I'm coming with you. So that he came to join us at the company as well. So we had this client, you know, my main client came and joined us. And then loads of these sportsmen that we'd worked with at the agency were like, well, we're coming too, we still need this admin support, so we're coming too. And then this other client that I've been speaking to came on board, and we were so busy that first year. We didn't sleep, we were just working constantly, because we kept getting more and more inquiries and more and more inquiries, and eventually it was like, this is everyone told us we were going to fail. This is crazy. So yeah, it became like this massive learning curve, and actually that first year was really, really hard. But
you know what you did though, you just like grabbed that opportunity, because like if you didn't have that sports agency with the client base that you already knew who needed a service, and you were starting from scratch elsewhere, and the only person you knew was your existing client, then that would have been a very different story.
Absolutely.
But the fact that, yeah, you would have been absolutely mental to have not done what you did when you did it. It would have been such a waste of an opportunity. And yeah, you're just giving what people needed.
Yeah, I mean, it was also the perfect opportunity because the industry that we worked in is very niche. You know, that sports marketing is, a sports agency is, you've got hundreds of people trying to get into that, thousands of people trying to get into that, and we're so blessed that we were in it. And so we had built this reputation up within the company and within the people that we worked with of being really, really good at admin. Like, we loved admin. And Kerry and I have both always had this, you know, this no is not an answer to us. Like, we will try and make anything work. Sometimes things aren't possible, but we're never going to go in with a no being, it's never going to be possible until we've tried every. And that's what we got known for. You know, we would make the impossible possible. So it was really wonderful when so many people wanted to come and join us. And that always, a lot of those clients, you know, as they get new agencies, they will move on, but those relationships and friendships will have lasted. So that's what really is the most important to us.
So your company's called the Online Assistants.
It is, yeah.
And what do you offer? So can anyone come and use your service? It doesn't have to be sports.
Absolutely. So we have 6 core main offerings, which is so business support, personal support, general admin, and then events, travel, and property management. And where we are, our clientels range from small businesses, business leaders, entrepreneurs, investors. We've got high profile sportsmen and high profile faces. And we've also got private families. You'll be surprised by the different types of clientele we have, because people need support in different ways, and we just
definitely
need a angle.
And so this is more suitable for families or small businesses that don't need a full-time internal PA.
Exactly.
They just need like to forward you general admin bits.
Absolutely.
And do it on like a day rate or an hourly rate or something.
Exactly, yeah. So we charge like an hourly rate, and some of our clients have retainers because we have a certain amount of hours that we dedicate to them every week. But yeah, so it's kind of a pay as you go kind of service. So you can use as much or as little as you want, and it just helps families and small businesses who just can't afford that or don't want to pay for a full-time support that they don't need.
Because I find as well, it's not even a money thing. I think having a member of staff that you're paying full time that isn't busy enough actually creates you work, because all they do is say, what else do you want me to do? What else do you want me to do? And it's like, stop asking me that, just find stuff to do. So it's not even a money thing, is it? It's just like a something else to have to manage.
Absolutely. And there's so many tasks people actually, it's not even that they need someone else to do it. There's so many tasks people go, I just really don't want to do that. And they often actually then to them, if you go, well, I'll take that off your hand, take me an hour, they're like, great, best hour I've ever paid for.
Yeah, good for you. How, when you set up, was there many other people doing what you do? Was there many other companies that do similar stuff?
There wasn't a lot of virtual assistants at that time. So online assistants. We also do in-person support as well, so we offer both. So there wasn't a lot of people doing what we do in that kind of industry. Now, I mean, it's just blowing up. There's virtual assistants everywhere.
But you know what, anyone that's listening that wants to do something on their own and thinks the market's saturated, good, it shows that there's a need for it. Recruitment, imagine, like, look at the recruitment sector. There are a trillion recruitment companies. I think it's something like, oh my god, this is plucked out absolutely thin air, and I could get it really wrong, but it's tens of thousands of recruitment companies are set up every month in the UK.
Oh yeah, I believe that.
Yeah, every single recruitment consultant that gets to a certain level in terms of billing goes off on their own with their clients that they're not meant to have taken, but they do, set up on their own. But with that, say for example it's 20,000 a month, I can imagine 18,000 a month recruitment agencies close at the same time, because they get to it, and it's not just a case of sitting there and billing. There is so much bullshit that goes along with having to do it anyway. But yeah, so the fact that the market is saturated isn't a reason to put you off. It's a reason to
Not
inspire.
at all. I mean, it's good
Because
to have competition as well. I mean,
yeah.
and also, I mean, there's hundreds and thousands of VAs, and a lot of those VAs have individual, you know, not every VA offers admin support outside of, say, some VAs are really kind of dedicated to websites and social media, and some are dedicated to copywriting. So we've all got the same kind of hat, but what we do, our services all differ. And yeah, it is good to have. I mean, there's also hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people that also need, you know, small amounts of admin that don't need full-time PAs. So actually there's work for everyone. And there's people in, you know, people all over. So there's London, Manchester, Birmingham, and that you could have 10, 15 families on your doorstep that go, I just need 2 hours of support, you know, a week. And you've got, you know, full-time hours then.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I don't know if this applies to you, but in recruitment anyway, like there isn't, well, I just think in any element of the private sector, there is the personality fit between the family and the service provider is really, really important. It's even important, obviously, if they have a housekeeper or a chef or a house manager, then that personality fit is very important. But when they start using external suppliers, there's still that element of a fit that needs to happen between the supplier and the family. So even though I've got loads of competitors, I've definitely got clients who I don't suit, or sorry, there are definitely families who my brand wouldn't suit, but equally I've got lots of clients who use us because we're such a good fit on the personal level, and you must have that as well.
You know, I think sometimes it's such a personable relationship. Sometimes it is really, the way I probably explain it sometimes is that you are really your client's wife or husband, or it is such a personal thing to have a PA or a VA, and you know that person's life inside out. You don't really have secrets. You share your diary, you share your emails, you have you have access to every part of their lives. So it is a personal thing, and absolutely it becomes, do I see myself having a good relationship with this person? Can I have a conversation with them? Because if you can't have a conversation with that person, you're probably not going to be able to support them.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't get each other, you need to get to a point with your clients where not a lot even needs to be said. Like an email can be forwarded and it just be dealt with. You haven't got to pick up the phone and explain, and that click needs to happen fairly early on if it's going to be an effective partnership.
Exactly. And I think a lot of our clients, what we really love is that we don't have a relationship with just one person in that industry. So, you know, we have a lot of families, or we have a lot of CEOs, but we also have a relationship with those CEOs' wives. You know, we help support them with their children. So we may offer business support to a small business, but actually that business support grows to private support as you support them in other areas. And I think that's what I really, really enjoy, is that relationship becomes much bigger than just one-on-one.
Yeah, which is so nice. And also a bit of security from the company point of view, because if the principal gets hit by a bus, you've still got a backup principal. If someone gets ill.
Yeah, that's actually something Kerry and I have, we try and read a different kind of business book every month and discuss it. Yeah. So actually one of the books that we've just finished is the 20% rule. Have you read that?
Yeah.
And about how to make a business sustainable, and absolutely, you never know when that relationship might turn sour, or they might meet someone that they have a better click with, and then, you know, you lose that clientele. So it is really, really important to build those relationships. I mean, that is something that is so important to us, building lasting relationships and building trust and friendship.
Yeah, exactly. It's so much easier to maintain a client base and grow fairly organically and have them for life than be constantly trying to find new clients to replenish old clients all the time. It's just sensible. And so the online assistants then, so are there many of you?
So Kerry and I are the two co-founders, and then we have two really wonderful, well, actually technically three really wonderful women that work with us. So we've got one woman, her name is Jordan. She's amazing. She does our social media, and she has got such a wonderful vision. She really understands us and actually just translates that really well to paper or the web, actually, I should say. And then we've got two lovely ladies that who work with Kerry and I, work with us, not for us, because I think that's also a really important aspect of the relationship the online assistants have internally, is that we work really well and support each other really well. But the four of us work on all the admin, and actually we're looking at bringing in another person at the moment just to work more on our account. So we've got Una, who helps us with a lot of minute taking, because we do a lot of HR internally for different companies. We've got Rose, who does a lot of the operations and is really great with events and whatnot. And then we're looking at bringing someone in now who can help us with just the bookkeeping side.
If anyone's listening, what's a job?
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Okay, great. And so obviously then I assume the company's obviously evolved a bit over the years. So you've got to where you are today. And so what is, like, you could obviously not be in the private sector. What is it about the private sector that you enjoy so much?
I love the fact that we have, it's, you know, this is something that we've created. We've got a lot of ownership in what we push out there. That's our voice, you know. If you look at our website or our social media, it's us. And I think what I love is that we're able to now write how those stories go, and we're able to, it's different when you're a PA and you work for someone, because you're working for a company, you've got this contract, you've got this certain way that you have to do things. But with us, we've actually been allowed to dictate how those relationships work. We can say no to things. That's so many people don't know how to say no. If you don't enjoy doing something, or you don't know how to do something, you can say no. That's not. And also, if you have a client that you think is not the right fit for you as well, now you can also say no. It's not just a one-way street. So what I love about being in the private sector is that ownership, and that, oh sorry,
that's all right, we'll crop that bit.
So I think what I love about being in the private sector is the ownership. And I mean, I'm really immensely proud of what Kerry and I have achieved.
Yeah,
especially, you know, we started the online assistance in 2017, and so we're 3 years in, and we both have this dream and this aim of what we want the online assistance to be. I mean, I want children, Kerry wants children. That's something that's really important to us. So we wanted to have this business that was sustainable and safe, that we could have that without the fear of losing everything. So I mean, my dream would be one day that we would have a small, you know, little London office with a nursery attached to it, so that we could have women who also want that, to have children and be able to still work and have their children close by. So yeah, I want to have this business that that allows me to fulfill that dream of having children one day.
You know what, that's one of the big things I think that's come out of this pandemic, is the quality of work-life balance, and how much time people have managed to make for themselves without the commute, without the socializing, without the distractions. And actually, like, whilst I miss a lot of the social stuff and all the rest, one thing I'm definitely going to try and keep coming out of the pandemic is more time for me and my family, and not book up every Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday with stuff. Like, try and have like every other weekend with just no plans. Like, I love no plans. But like you say, yeah, I think that's definitely like a key thing that I have with my business as well, is the work-life balance. And my days of working, you know, 100-hour weeks are just behind me, and I seek pleasure elsewhere now. Do you know what I mean? And like being able to clock off, and you can still have an incredibly successful career within the private sector and have the opportunity to go start a family and raise a family and all the rest. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
It doesn't. And I think so many people because so many VAs start as just like, you know, one-man bands, and it's, you know, they have one client or a few clients, and they all get quite scared that they can't grow to have that. And I think that's what's so important about having that ownership, is that actually you can.
Exactly. Also, work in the private sector, there's always going to be rich people. So
of course,
even recessions and Brexit, like they're always going to be there. Like, we're all right. And so what's some of your obstacles on a day-to-day basis? There must be parts of your job that you either hate or you find super difficult. Like, what's some of the challenges you face working with ultra high net worths?
So I think one of my biggest obstacles when I first started was I actually do enjoy an office environment. And so I have a home office, and not so much now in Scotland, because we've just got, you know, a couple of desks in the spare bedroom. But in London, we had, you know, a really nice home office setup, and that to me was so important, because I know myself and the way I work. I thrive at being at my desk. I love being at my desk. I love being on my email. I love being, you know, kind of in the zone. And I also love working with people who are also in the zone. And I think one of the biggest obstacles I found during lockdown especially is it's quite alienating working by yourself all the time. So I think I'm probably on Teams most of the day, actually. I think a lot of our clients we all use Teams, so we all love a catch up and we all love chatting, so we're all always on Teams, which is quite nice. But before lockdown, we'd often have Kerry or Rose or Una work together, and that was really lovely. I think that's something I'm definitely missing. So for me, I know I need an office environment. I need a printer and a scanner and a shredder, and I need my laptop, and I need my books, my papers, my files, and then the other obstacle I think is that there's only so many hours in the day, and I can sometimes lose track of time, and it'll be midnight and I'm still working on something because I'm, you know, kind of really going for it. And then there's only one of me, so I do a lot of in person. I do a 1 day in person in Poole, 1 day in person in Birmingham, and then sometimes I'll do a day in Fulham. So that can be quite a lot in a week, and it means that, you know, often I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning to get a train to get to Birmingham by 8 or 8:30 or even 9 o'clock, which it's a long day of travel, and then back down that evening, up the next morning doing the same thing to get to Poole. So that can be sometimes an obstacle. So again, it's about that, being able to say no to things, and also making sure that you don't burn yourself out, because sometimes you can really just work too hard and not take a break or take time off.
What I learned, and it was when I had Freddie, my boy, like 2 years ago, I realised that I didn't actually have to do things immediately. And that's what I used to find. I used to get an email at 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning, and if I haven't replied by 7:05, I'm stressing out. And the client or whoever I'm in there doesn't want me to reply by 7:07. They want it off their desk. They want to hear from me on a Monday morning. And that's one thing I've sort of learned now. I've tried to sort of like chill out a little bit in terms of like my deliverables, and like think to myself, well, obviously if it's urgent, I'll do it immediately. I'll do it 3 a.m. if I have to. But often when you get requests, it's not urgent, and you don't have to treat it as urgent. And it's just to sort of pace yourself a little bit to give you that sort of, you know, structure in your day that you need.
We use these 1, 2, and 3 allocations for things that come in. So because we push everything out through Asana, so not everything is done by myself or Kerry. Often Rose or Una will take it. So we push out everything with a 1, 2, 3. So ones that come in have to be done straight away because they're urgent. 2s have to be done really within that week or in a set time scale. And 3s they're there, but they're not urgent. So for example, one of the things that we've been working through for one of our clients is we have been digitizing their entire HR file, because we have so many different offices and it's impossible to have all these files in one place. So, and then also when no one's in the office for you know, over a year with lockdown, it's impossible to get certificates or whatnot that's needed. So one of the tasks we've been doing is digitizing everything, so that I mean, some of these folders go back 20 years. It's unreal. But that's been a 3, because it's not something that they need done tomorrow or this week, but it'd be great if we can get it done, you know, within a month. That's fine. That's a nice and easy task. Yeah,
that works well. So in terms of ultra high net worth clients themselves, do you find you have some that are more difficult than others in terms of their demands or their expectations, or how do you find them as individuals to work for?
So I have to say, a lot of our clients, our high net worth clients, are they're lovely, and we love. They're not demanding, but sometimes you can have just a different view on life, right? So I probably, you know, I'm not a multimillionaire, so I probably don't see an issue with certain things. That's probably the wrong way of saying I don't see certain things being impossible. So it's about managing expectations. I think that's the big thing, that it's, you know, if a flight's sold out of first class seats, it's not as simple as, well, just get one, because that's not possible. The flight's sold out. So what are our other options? Book a business class seat. Most likely someone's not going to show up for that flight. We can bump you on the day or get you on another flight. So yeah, I think that's about managing expectations. But I have to say, overall, our clients are they're very hardworking, all of them, and I think they do have a very, very good concept of expectations, and especially around, I think a lot of what we've been seeing is around COVID, people haven't understood that things can take longer. You know, a lot of people have a lot of what we've been seeing in our networking groups is, I'm really struggling because my clientele doesn't understand that things coming from Europe are taking longer and it's not going to be a tomorrow. We haven't thankfully had that at all. Actually, one of our clients has been traveling through Africa during this whole process, and I think the only request that he had come through that we just physically could not get was trying to get him a vaccine.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I generally find the clients that we work with, like, they're reasonable people. Like, they're just normal people, and they get it. They have expectations, and they don't want to be let down, and they have the money to pay for a service. They want to receive a service of a certain level, which is fine. But they're not like ridiculous. If anything, the clients that I found ridiculous are the clients that we don't really work with anymore, which is basically your D-list celebs who expect everything for free, think they're all that, high demands, treat their staff like crap, rude, not that wealthy, very tight. And actually, I wouldn't see them as clients in the private sector anyway. And you get to the point anyway when you start to pick and choose who you work with. And ultimately, if the service you're offering, if the clients you choose ultimately will reflect on your company, because you will either be able to service them well or not. You may as well work with clients you can service well, because
absolutely
you maintain your reputation and all the rest. And also, you want to enjoy the people you work with.
I know this sounds awful, but I always think, you know, your clients are like a garden, and you have to sometimes prune that garden to make everything grow better. And if you have someone that is making you unhappy or making you stressed, why keep them in your life?
Yeah, exactly. I love firing clients. Doesn't happen very often.
I'm not good at that. I'm like, I get so emotional. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Oh, well, it always starts that way. And then, like, yeah, so it only gets to a point when it's just if you're messed around a bit too much, or not paid, or was but it really, really, really is few and far between. And I think ultimately, I think a lot of people that we work with are, just lovely, absolutely lovely, like our clients as well, like, lucky in a way. So sort of wrapping up then, so I suppose, how's COVID affected your business? Because you're all remote anyway, has it had any impact whatsoever, or?
So I would say that we were very, very lucky in terms of the whole world moved remote, and we had been remote for years beforehand. So we were very set up, which we're very grateful for now. Actually, our business has thrived during COVID, which is surprising. And the reason for that is a lot of our businesses were affected, absolutely, but we took on a lot of a HR function during COVID. So actually we upskilled ourselves and we took on internal HR, which we hadn't done beforehand. So we managed all the furloughing, unfurloughing for our small businesses and our clients that had any employees. We helped clients get out of their leases, where clients couldn't travel into London, or they didn't have, where they'd furloughed their entire staff, we went and cleared offices and got rid of office computers and desks and everything needed to be done. We also did all, so any clients that needed to do redundancies over lockdown, we did all their redundancies. And one of our companies didn't make it through, unfortunately, and so we helped assist with the liquidation of that. So we really incorporated the HR side and took on anything that we could to help those businesses struggling during that time.
Yeah, that's a really good opportunity, isn't it? Where we're all in this unknown world, and people need advice and support. And if you guys were sensible enough to upskill to offer that support, that's brilliant. God, I bloody needed you a year ago when I was fighting around with my my office space. That would have been ever so useful. But yeah, I can see why you would have been of such good use to a lot of people. And here we are today then. So what's your sort of what's things looking like for you now? What's your plan in the next sort of year or two? Back to London and continued growth, or?
Back to London, definitely focusing on our growth as well. So one of the things that Kerry and I have really tried to do we've both been PAs for so long, and then becoming these business owners is trying to take ourselves out of that employee mindset into the business owner mindset, which is so difficult. So we're focusing more on our business, we're handing off more tasks to the lovely ladies that support us, and actually giving them more so that we can spend more time on that business growth. As I said, we're looking to take on another person who can help us with the bookkeeping side, and we're just focusing really on making our the company really stand out. So bringing in more clients, that's really a big aim for us this year, is to bring in more clients as well. So yeah, business growth, absolutely. And who knows where we'll be in 2 years, but we want to be we're excited about where we're going. Well, we've just done our website as well.
Say again.
We've just redone our website as well. So
your website is lovely.
Quite exciting.
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah,
really
put a lot of work into it.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's so important. It's your shop window at the end of the day, so it is important.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah.
One of the things that we were focusing on is that we were talking about the 20% rule, and so some of these books that we've been looking at is about making sure that what your offerings are really clear, and that's what the website was for us. We wanted to clearly define what our 6 core offerings are, which we hadn't actually even realized when we looked beforehand that our previous website wasn't doing that. So it's really important to make sure you get that messaging right. So that's what we've really focused on as well during lockdown.
Yeah, nice. Well, if the last 2 years anything to go by, I think you're gonna have a wicked 2 years. So so there we go. Well, it's been so good talking to you. I think it's so interesting to hear other people's journeys, how you got into the sector, how you worked your way through it, why you do it, what you find challenging. So I think a lot of people listening will resonate with so much of that. And it's also super inspiring, the fact that, like, and I've said this before, like, it's not actually that difficult setting up your own business. You just need to have something to sell and someone to sell it to.
Absolutely.
And if you've got something to sell and someone to sell it to, you can get support and trained up and advice on how to actually deliver the service. But that's the sort of key. And the private sector is a great place for it. And in one sense, I found before lockdown anyway, I found the private sector to be, especially in the recruitment side of things, competitive, secretive, like, don't help each other. This pandemic, especially since I started the podcast, is, I feel like, brought so many of us together. I've never felt more connected to other people that work in the private sector than I do now, which is mental.
I think it should be about, people supporting each other. I was going to say women supporting each other, but it's not. It's about people supporting each other. We have a lot of friends who are in the same position as us, who run their own VA companies or who are themselves, and I would never ever want to lose those friendships because we do the same thing. Actually, what I love is being able to find out what those companies are going through, what they're going through, and share what I'm going through, and have that wonderful relationship of being able to talk to someone, have them understand you.
Yeah, and learn from each other. It was only last night. Last night I did a clubhouse. Look at me, all dead and modern and cool. I did a clubhouse room last night with a couple of other owners of exactly the same recruitment agency to me. A year ago, we probably would never have wanted to talk to each other in case we nick each other's clients and all that kind of stuff. But absolute rubbish. Let's learn from each other. Let's come together. Let's help each other. We're working together on a vacancy at the moment, and people like that, your competitors are the best people to learn from.
I completely agree. And they push you, they drive you to be the best that you can be. You need that. You need healthy competition in your life.
Yeah, 100%. Otherwise, it'd be a piece of piss and you don't have to do anything. But look, no, really inspiring, really useful. I am definitely going to bear you guys in mind, because I used to have sort of full-time office support internally and didn't need it, but there are definitely times when even I need it and stuff. So I'm not an ultra high net worth, but would you help random people?
Absolutely. Yeah. We'd love to help you.
Yeah, there's always random bits and bobs here and there, especially on the contract side of things. But anyone listening that wants to reach out, it's the online assistants. And when we release this, we tag Kate in all of our content posts. There'll be a blog, there'll be email campaigns and stuff. So you'll get plenty of opportunity to be put in touch with Kate and the online assistants if there's anything that you or your principals need, or even just a chat about working as a VA, maybe. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, feel free to reach out. Thank you very much for your time, Kate.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be on here today.
No worries at all. Thanks for coming on, and enjoy the rest of your day. And to everybody listening, thank you once again for tuning in. I really do appreciate everybody's support. If you'd like to get in touch with me myself, I'm Philippa at Silver Swan Recruitment. You can get me on LinkedIn, follow us on socials, all the usuals. And if we can help you with your job hunt or help you find staff, come and visit us at silverswanrecruitment.com. I'll see you all in a couple of weeks. Cheers, guys.